a normal school of science scholarship. Now, the normal school of science is known as the Imperial College of Science, South Kingston, London. It is very easy to know about H.G. Wells. He was born on 21st of September in the year 1866. His parents are Joseph Wells and the mother is Neil Wells. Okay, the parents had a hardware shop, but it was of more of benefit. It was more of loss. Okay, so after that, H.G. Wells studied at Morley's Academy. After that, he becomes an assistant master in Midhurst Grammar School. Later, he was awarded with some scholarship from the Normal School of Science. Now, presently, it is known as Imperial College of Science. It is there at Kingston, London. So, for 3 years, he studied physics, chemistry, geology, astronomy, and biology, and under the guidance of Sir Thomas H. Huxley. Okay, under the guidance of Sir Thomas Huxley, he studied physics, chemistry, geology, astronomy, and biology. In the year 1890, he took BSc degree with first class honors in zoology, and it was in the London University. Okay, in the year 1890, he received his BSc degree with first class in honors in zoology at London University. In the year 1895, he wrote essays and short stories for many magazines. In the same year, he published two of his great novels. See, in the year 1895, he wrote essays and short stories for many magazines. In the same year, he published two of the great novels of his time, okay, and of his career. That is The Time Machine and The Wonderful Visit. This time machine is very interesting because as we are now there in the 21st century, now 2021, so in the same way, he would like to go much ahead of his time. Means he would like to have a machine, time machine, which perverts and which goes much ahead of time. He would like to receive himself in some 3787 year, like how 2021 is there. In the same way, 3787 era. Okay, there he should go and he should look over the changed things, the changed scenario of the whole world. Okay, so it is a very lovely novel. Anybody can read, and it is in a very lucid language. The second most important and the famous novel is The Wonderful Visit. In the year 1895, he got married with Miss Amy Catherine Robbins. She was his former pupil, and the couple have blessed with two children, okay, or the two sons. See, in the year 1895, he got married with Miss Amy Catherine Robbins. She was his student. Earlier, she was his student. Okay, so prior to the marriage with Amy Catherine, he got married with his one of the cousins. Okay, and because of some misunderstandings, the couple have got divorced. And later, he got married to his student, that is Amy Catherine Robbins, and the couple had blessed with two sons. The next few years brought a series of great scientific romances. Okay, so later after that, his career and the years were filled with the greatest scientific romances. The first one is The Iceland of Dr. Moore. Okay, so Dr. Moore is a famous character in the novel called The Iceland of Dr. Moore. Okay, so how his Iceland is, everything is of his own convenience. Then the second novel is the very famous novel that you have for as a text for this semester, that is The Invisible Man, which is written in the year 1897. Then the third one is The War of the Worlds, which was written in the year 1898. The First Man in the Moon, it is written in the year 1901. So here, this is the last slide on H.G. Wells. All the points which I have covered on H.G. Wells, it is there in your textbook. Okay, some lengthy points are also there, but I have extracted only some important points regarding H.G. Wells. These are very important because in the examination, you may get a question to write a short note on H.G. Wells. Okay, when they ask to write a short note on H.G. Wells, these points should be covered. Okay, so the short note may come for 5 months. So this is the reason that why I have taken a lengthy note on H.G. Wells. Okay, the next third slide and the last slide on H.G. Wells is Wells supported the First World War as the war to end war. Okay, uh, there are some spelling mistakes here. Okay, see here. Wells supported the First World War as the war to end the war. Okay, his most important novel was published during the First World War. Okay, so that is Mr. Brentling sees it through. Okay, Mr. Brentling sees it through. It is the most famous novel which is written by H.G. Wells. It was published in the time of World War. Okay, and it achieved a tremendous popularity. See, we can say that H.G. Wells is a game player. Why? Because all the novels, what he has written, those are extremely tremendously achieved popularity, and all the novels have become, most of the novels have become movies. Okay, why? Because he has written the trendy novels today, in the pandemic season, okay, or in the pandemic time zone. If anyone writes their experience regarding the pandemics or their own views or the prediction regarding the pandemics, definitely it will get a great hit. Okay, so in the same way, then when it was the scene and the situation was fully danger with the world wars, he wrote about the criminalist phase of the war. Okay, so that becomes very famous, and the same novel is called Mr. Brinkley Sees It Through. Okay, and it achieved a tremendous popularity. After that, themes of the thesis means, a thesis means it may be the novel or the essays or some freelance articles that he has written of his own. Okay, so the themes of all his theses um, are that human race must adapt itself to the material forces it has created to perish. See, initially when the scientific things were inventing, okay, and man made his face towards the science, he never understood that, and he never sensed that science one day harm him. Okay, see, there are always disadvantages and advantages of any of the material that we use, but man was not in a race to understand what would be the disadvantages that all the human being could face in the future days. Okay, so now we know very well. Even we are, see, the universe is so big, but it is so, we are very, it is so small that we are not getting, what is that, particular amount of oxygen for us to inhale and exhale. Okay, so this is the worst situation what we are facing today. So this is what one of the bad impacts of our scientific revolution. Here, what uh, H.G. Wells says is human race must adapt itself. Adapt means, see, adopt, that adopt is purchasing something or taking something as it's granted. For example, Rani Chandamma has adopted a son. Okay, so that adopt is different. This adapt, ADAPT. Okay, this adapt is adjustment. Okay, so we should adjust ourselves with the material forces it has created to perish. Perish means to make some loss to the humankind or to make some loss to the human beings. Now we are answering for that. Now we are paying very heavily for that. You know the situation very well. So here, what is the main thing that H.G. Wells would like to say is, he said, he predicted very early that one day science will rule, technology will rule the human being, and today the same thing is going on. So without internet connectivity, without the scientific inventions, we cannot bear a single minute. Fine. So here, in the same way, H.G. Wells, 200 years ago, centuries ago, he predicted the exact thing, because technology or the scientific inventions will rule the human beings very soon. And today we are suffering from the disadvantages of each of the scientific inventions. He, H.G. Wells, his last work, Mind at the Ends of Its Tether, okay, Mind at the Ends of Its Tether, gave expression of his final mood of despair. Having been ailing for some considerable time, he died in London home. He died at his London home on 13th August 1946. Okay, on 13th August 1946, he died there. See, among all his contemporary, H.G. Wells as stands very separate and special, because all his contemporary writers, they wrote about the romances. Okay, the romance between the couple or the romance between man and nature. Okay, and the initial love of love affairs between professors and the students. So the stories were going between love, romance, and lust. But H.G. Wells brought something special. So he started writing about the scientific evolution, scientific revolution, how science may change the world, how a man can think out of the box. Okay, so this novel, the novel which we are going to deal, is a real legendary example for the greatest change in the world. So let us deal with the introductory part of the novel. So in the introductory part of the novel, the writer okay, has not prefaced, or he has not written anything about the novel. Okay, means as we say that face is the index of the mind. In the same way, introduction is the soul of the whole novel. Okay, we say that introduction is the soul of the whole novel. But in the introductory point, he has he has made us to realize what exactly the scientific romances mean. Okay, what exactly the scientific novels are. Okay, so how the story runs here, and how the hero is there in the scientific romance, because he's not as the same of other ordinary heroes. See, in the William Shakespeare plays, okay, or in the GB Shaw's novel plays and novels, okay, and in the novels of Virginia Woolf, then Joseph Conrad, here there the man is an ordinary man, like how we are there. Okay, but here he becomes a Superman. So let's see how he becomes a Superman and what extra elements would be added on his character. In the scientific romances or the scientific fiction, fiction also mean novel. Remember, fiction also mean novels. Okay, in the scientific romances or in the scientific fiction, heroes are always Superman. Okay, heroes are always Superman. See, you might have watched the movie Spider-Man. Initially, he would be okay, he was an ordinary man, but when he was connected, okay, and when he adds up to his body some supernatural elements, okay, he becomes a Superman. His all actings, his all activities are beyond our imagination. Okay, earlier he used to wear some specs. Okay, he was very dull and tough, but now he has changed himself. Okay, he literally has become a Superman with the great muscles. So here, heroes are Superman. They live on superfoods. They don't eat the normal food what we eat. Okay, they always live on superfoods. Their knowledge is super science. Okay, they never think very normally like how we think. Okay, so their knowledge, okay, their thinking capacity is very high. Okay, so their knowledge is super science, and they look like overstuffed pinheads. So then how they look? They look like overstuffed pinheads. So you just bring the picture or the imagination of Spider-Man, Superman, okay, and any other man that you know. Okay, so Robo-Man presently, the contemporary man, right? So you can just bring out their imagination. So here, when the directors or any of the programmers of the movie, they animate these characters, they bring some special kind of a picture or the creation to they add some special elements to the body, okay, of each of the man, because they should what we can say that they should create their own signature. Because when I say Spider-Man, you just get the imagination of the spider. Okay, like how the spider is. Then that is on that is a kind of a signature. Okay, when it comes to the point of Harry Potter, okay, you will come to know about the weeping hands. Okay, and his great element of magical realistic things. So here, huh. So here, those are filled with overstuffed pinheads. Okay, bull-headed mans will be there. They never walk. These supermans, they never walk. They fly. Their flight is carrying a motor car, a bizarre means a odd temple, and a super girl under one arm can easily carry them from star to stars. Okay, see how this Superman they work. Okay, they never walk. They fly, and their flight is carrying a motor car. Okay, their flight, they always carry a motor car into a flight, and they go to a temple. And because they always never live in the normal area where the normal people or the society people are residing. Even for staying, for residence also, they need a special place. Okay, and they also carry super girls as their girlfriends. Okay, and they carry them under their one arm, and they can easily carry them from star to star. Okay, in the sky from star to star, because they are in the aeroplanes. The scientific story passed out of literature into strips picture. They have developed strange literary forms, whereas earlier literary novels are filled with meaningful quotes and some expressions in sentences. Science fiction carries more actions than romances or emotions. So the last, uh, sorry, uh, what is the point of this slide? It represents that the scientific, see earlier, it may be the play of William Shakespeare, G.B. Shaw, okay, or the poem of William Wordsworth, S.T. Coleridge, John Keats, John Lilly, whatever, whoever it is, those poetries, those plays, or those novels are filled with some romantic quotes or some, uh, imaginary lines, okay, and beautiful lines which can be directly hit to our heart, okay. So here, but the scientific romances are very realistic, okay, that talks about the real elements of the today's world or the contemporary words. See, they never talks about the star coming to the earth or a person coming from the star and should bring, and God blessing us from the heavenly, universe, etc. Those things will not be carried in the scientific romances. What are there in the scientific romances are very realistic, and those are related to the contemporary world. So here H.G. Wells says that today, this scientific romances are more of actions. In the scientific romances there are more actions rather than expressions or quotes or romances or imaginations, okay. The last slides, the scientific romance is about Wonder Man, okay. The scientific romance is about Wonder Man who lives in, who lives on Wonder Food, okay. As I have told you that these Superman from the scientific romances, they are not normal. They are all Superman and they live on superfood. So here H.G. Wells says that scientific romance heroes are Wonder Man who lives on wonder foods, who knows wonder science and have sexless nights with wonder girls as their companions. At the beginning of each story, hero is just an ordinary chap. As I have told you that just if you have not watched Spider-Man movie, please watch. That is quite relevant to you in order to understand how this ordinary man can change himself as an extraordinary man or as a super person. At the beginning of each of the story, okay, or the movie, hero is just an ordinary chap, easily identified as the reader himself, who hears of crisis and thereupon changes in a single picture into a superpower, okay, or super wonder man. So initially he would be a very normal and ordinary chap or ordinary man. But after that, one incident changes his life. So after that, he becomes a super wonder or a superman. His chest becomes enormous, means it becomes very wide, okay, and his body covered with beautiful muscles. Physically, he can now do anything. He flies through the air. So these are the elements what usually we sense when the concept of Superman comes. So why there is a need or the necessity of this Superman's element in the novel, The Invisible Man? Because The Invisible Man, as it is a scientific novel, there the hero's elements are not as the same way that the author has explained here. He is not a Superman. He never lives on the superfood. Okay. First of all, he doesn't have a physical body. How can he, expands his chest? Okay. So how can he has beautiful muscles? So that becomes a question. So here in the introductory part, uh, H.G. Wells says that everything is changed, okay, except the concept of super science knowledge. Sorry. So here, only one common thing between the hero of the Invisible Man and the heroes of all other scientific novels is that both are living on super knowledge. Okay, that super science knowledge, that is one common element. Okay, so why this introduction is necessary here? Because this can give you support to understand how this Superman or superhero element is exactly, but how the novel stands very different from it. Okay, so this is the introductory element regarding okay. From the next class onwards, I do deal with the first and second chapters. Okay, as soon as we cover the chapter wise summaries, I do share each of the summaries into the group. Okay, so today's class I shall end here. You start inserting your roll numbers, and if you have any doubts, you can ask me now. Are you understanding? I know this concept, what we have discussed today, it is irrelevant to the point that we are dealing with the novel, but it is a support to the novel. Why? Because as I have discussed with you, when we have or we pre-assume the character or the quality of a Superman or the superhero of a scientific romance, he can do anything physically. But here in the Invisible Man, it is totally different. Okay, it is beyond our imagination because the physical sense or the physical body of the person is not visible. Okay, so he's completely invisible. So being invisible, being not having the personality or being physically less, okay, or the without having the physical body, how he can work, okay, how he can stand, how he can have his food, and how he can deal with the society, that is the big question. And at the end, whether he gets back his own personality or not, or own body or not, that is the question. We will get the answer at the end of the novel. So 30 students have participated. So do you have any difficulty with the novel or in the today's class? May I get the answer? So may I know, have you faced any difficulty? Vasuki, are you there? Vasuki, am I audible to you? Vasuki,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, was the voice completely audible to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So those who have inserted your roll number, you can leave the meeting.